Post-match carnage, Liverpool 2, the best team in Europe, Napoli 0. Liverpool and Napoli's 13-game winning run, not unbeaten, winning run. Amongst those victories was a 4-1 demolition of Liverpool, while Liverpool smashed them to bits 2-0 at Anfield. We are here to discuss it all with you guys. Welcome to the stream. As you come in, do the usual rituals, which is say hello, make a lovely comment, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Because look, I keep saying it, and Cav said it just before offline. Let's just enjoy these days. We've got to enjoy life. We've got to enjoy days like this. Cav's joining me, Ohms joining me. All right, lads. Ohms, you're allowed to look a bit more happier today. Why are you still looking gloomy? Like you normally, it's the opposite. I don't know with you.
No.
Normally.
Wait my turn. I'm happy, man.
Oh, you're waiting your turn. You're waiting your turn. All right. People, there is. We have 120 of you eager Reds, or maybe non-Reds as well in there, because we know all fans tune into our shows because they like our chat, and we're humbled and blessed. Let's get those likes up straight away, because it helps algorithms and all of that business before we get tucked in, or before we tuck in, because if we get tucked in, we might fall asleep.
That's in the end. You get tucked in.
What I mean? Oh, what's happening? How you feeling, son? Lovely top.
Yeah, no, you know what? I was just gonna make a little because I get a few comments in chat, and I know I have a bit of
fans,
you guys, and you guys are like, "Is this guy a Liverpool fan? I never see him in a Liverpool top. He's always gassing up other teams' players." Even my mum, she tells me you need to wear a Liverpool top. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll wear the Liverpool top today." I've got the Allison 1920 gear, one of the greatest kits of all time. If you know, you know. And yeah, he kept a clean sheet. He weren't really tested. Bro, happy days, 2-0. Like Cav said, you got to enjoy days like this, because if you ain't, what are you going to enjoy?
Exactly. Indian Scousers in the building. It's a big up Grizz in the panel. First to beat City and Napoli this season. Revenge is sweet. Smash the likes, people. That's what we're talking about. Smash the likes. People are saying Grizz on a different wave tonight. And Smiley Victor, listen, I've been on a very, since I sang You'll Never Walk Alone on the Big Six, that I meant that. That Liverpool victory is dedicated to Grizz Khan. I'm not hearing otherwise. Kev, how are we feeling tonight, my friend?
I'm feeling good. And look, I'm trying to, calm my emotions, because I don't want to get carried away. We all know what the game means. But you have to enjoy these moments. If we're going to have an inconsistent season, you may have to manage your emotions when you've got the lows. And then when you get the highs, enjoy them as much as you possibly can. So that's what I'm doing tonight. I just see my team putting a good performance. So I'm gonna enjoy it as much as I can.
You nailed it. As usual, as you usually do, you've nailed it. When we lose, we be sad and we discuss why we lost. When we draw, depending on the team and the performance, we discuss it and we move. And when we win, you have to enjoy it, because if you can't enjoy your victories, why are you in this game of supporting a team that plays competitive sport? Like literally, what are you in it for? You're not getting paid to be a supporter, unless, I don't know, there's some crazy venture schemes out there. Like, I don't know the schemes that you get paid to be a supporter. Supporting is a freedom of right, freedom of speech. You can speak how you want, what you want. But it is what it is. We have to take it back. Some beautiful comments coming in. I can't keep up, you guys. Amir says, Alhamdulillah, Grizz, which means praise be to God. Exactly. Praise to be. Oh, man. I tell you, first and foremost, imagine if we had a pacey box to be. Stop this. Stop imagining things already. Stop it. Relax. Evening, lads. Where's this performance been all season? We'll get into it. Big up the Scottish fella, Calvin Ramsey. Lovely little debut, if I may say so. Nice little debut. I loved it. We're the most bipolar team in Europe.
Hey, if we keep turning up like this in the Champions League, I'm calm. We don't need top four. We'll end up winning it. Do you know what I mean?
This win isn't meaningless. We get 2.5 million for this win, people. How many? Whose wages is that? That could be new signings' wages. Talk to me.
It's like Salah's right foot, isn't it?
That is a new signings' wages, bro. Like, let's say, what's the average wage of these? Like, let's say 100 grand a week.
Yeah.
So what?
4 grand.
Come on, Cav, you're the businessman. 2.5 million.
4.8 million a year. 4.8 million a year.
So that's half a year's wages.
Yeah.
We've just made half a year's wages of a potential new signing in January. Cool. How fucking cool are we?
I love how you've gone with that. Like,
bro, that's how we are. We are Liverpool. We are efficient. We're coming back. Listen, I'm not listening to this doom and gloom. We are, like I said, we spoke on RedFellas today. Liverpool 2.0 is coming. And we saw glimpses of it. But before we go into Liverpool 2.0 and glimpses of it, lineups come out. First thing that comes to mind is we're going to go 4-3-3. Second thing that comes to mind is, no, I beg your pardon, for me, the first thing that came to mind was Ibu, because that's my dog right there, first and foremost. Secondly, it looks like we're going to go back to 4-3-3.
Oh, look at me. I'm Grizz. I've met Ibrahima Konate.
Thirdly, I thought distinct lack of pace. We might have to be patient. A set piece here and there. That's how we're going to score. And actually, that's what panned out. But that's my thoughts. What's yours?
Mine weren't initially 4-3-3. It was 4-3-3 or 4-4-2. And I know I saw a bit of Trent right mid floating about, but I think that was a bit more fantasy. Yeah, it was maybe Milner off the right, Jones off the left. But then, yeah, I was exactly with you on the pace thing where it was like, all right, Salah's got pace, but Firmino and Jones like coming to the ball. And probably in a game like this, weirdly, it's probably not how we should have played because we weren't sustaining pressure and we weren't like squeezing them in their half. It's quite, I'd say, an open game. And look, Nunez's pace showed why it was so important. But on Konate, straight away, man, like we'll get into the performance, I'm sure, but it just shows what we need in that right centre-back area. Someone who can go toe-to-toe with anyone that sort of gets in behind Trent and is great redundancy for Trent. And look, he was, for someone that's been out for a few weeks, like Kavicha and Osimhen up against you, you got to put in a shift in. And every time he comes back, he just looks like how he played last season, absolute monster. So yeah, I wasn't too worried about the team. I thought it was a bit stronger than we go. But look, I guess sometimes we're a team that plays better when we just get our reps in. We just keep going instead of resting and then trying to go again. So I'm kind of happy we now have a team that the majority will probably play on Sunday that will go again and now have that sort of momentum in their legs, that sort of big game intensity in their legs.
Exactly. Himanshu says, big up, Grizz, your camera is stuttering a lot lately. It also happened yesterday in the Big Six. Why have you guys not told me if my camera's stuttering? I struggle. Is it? Okay. I struggle to look good at the best of times. And if my camera's not doing me justice, then I'm very disappointed, you guys. Like, you know what? We can hear you. It's just like sometimes it pauses. But it's fine, man. Really? Yeah, really? No, it's not fine. I need to fix that, man. Come on, man.
It's actually not fine. I don't know why I said it's fine.
It's not fine.
No. Tonight, everything's fine.
Everything's fine tonight. Oh, come on, Khaid. What is this? What is this? Praise God. Now to drop points versus Tottenham all over again. Come on, bro. Not tonight, man. Let's save it for one night, man. Come on. You're better than that, man. Your thoughts on the lineup? Your thoughts on when the teams come out? Was it anything different from Omar or me? Or what was your initial thoughts?
No, I mean, me personally, I didn't want such a strong lineup because it was effectively a dead rubber game. That was just me personally. But having watched Klopp in his press conference yesterday, he alluded to the fact that Napoli are the most informed team in Europe at the minute. He alluded to the fact that he can't make too many changes and that he needs experience in there. So you already knew that there was going to be a rotated side and one with some of the first teamers in. And then you can start to guess as to who they will be. And you could have put together sort of 8 or 9 of maybe the guys that ended up starting. But that was the only thing for me, is perhaps a bit stronger than I'd have liked, but I was comfortable with the team. I agree with you, Grizz. The thing that stood out was with Bobby playing again, I thought he maybe needed a bit of a rest, but even with him in the side and Curtis Jones playing on the left, I kind of thought, oh, where the goal's going to come from. But I wasn't stressing about it purely just because it didn't really matter today. You know, if it was a league game and we needed points, or there was more on the line, maybe I would have been stressing a bit more. But for today, I was okay with the lineup. And I just, my only concern was maybe Trent at right back up against that Georgian kid that's an absolute superstar at the minute, and where the goals would come from. But I was comfortable enough.
Yeah, I'm pretty much like you. I was thinking, do we have to play Thiago maybe? Do we have to play Verge again? Them two only. I mean, we knew Salah was going to play. Just those two. You know, Fabinho, maybe just play him through this form. And we'll get onto Fabinho if you guys think he was a little bit better. But yeah, looking at that lineup, good old Milner. And to be fair to him, Holmes, he went around smashing into people straight away. I tell you what, Milner, what I saw in Milner today. I saw Milner, if he had legs, and if Milner was 28 today, he would have been close to man of the match, because he was making the right runs, the right tackles. He just couldn't get there. He just didn't have the physique or the power or the finesse anymore. I'm telling you, that was a prime Milner performance if he was 28. People need to remember what I'm saying. It wasn't a prime Milner performance today, but in terms of the game intelligence and his covering and his pressing and his intensity, I loved it. But it's an absolute shame that he hasn't got the legs. Thiago was much better. Look, I'm going to get straight into it, Holmes. I thought we looked far, far more comfortable in the whole setup and structure.
I think, and it's going back to that familiarity in the 4-3-3, which is like, especially with like Milner, Thiago, and Fabinho in there, who are all sort of central players. You've not got Elliott there. You've not got someone like Jones who likes to drift out wide. You've got players that like to sort of play in the middle, I guess. For me, I think you've sort of hit the nail on the head there with, if it's sometimes not going well, we're not quite slick enough, we're not playing the football that we know we can play, at the very least, show that intensity, show that sort of desire, show that aggression. And look, Milner typified that. I think, weirdly, Milner and Fabinho typified that. Right, they might have both been slightly off it on the ball, but they still got their foot in, they still got stuck in. And it sort of sums up a Jurgen Klopp team. It summed up the Liverpool sort of way, where I guess we've been blessed to see such good football from the likes of Thiago, Keita, all these guys coming through in midfield when it's happened. But we sort of went back to that engine room in midfield, and it was like, all right, this Napoli midfield, this Napoli team are best team in the world right now. They're slick. But what we can do is make it bloody hard for them to break us down, make it bloody hard for them to just carve through us. And I thought we were everywhere today, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. We ran. Like, there's this whole thing about running statistics, but we ran around that pitch. We made it hard for them. We got in their faces. Fine, we commit fouls in their half, whatever. We commit fouls on the halfway line, but we don't let them come through. And for me, that was the most pleasing thing, that we had that intensity and desire in a game which was probably like the proverbial dead rubber of the weekend. But still, I thought the crowd was up and the players were up, and you need that even if it isn't a dead rubber game, because if you end up going around 2-3 games on the pitch, jogging around, not really giving it your all, then bad habits start to creep in subconsciously. And I'm glad we put in that performance, and I just hope we can sort of bring that energy now to the game on Sunday, because that energy is so needed. Like, you have the technical side of football, but you still need to have the physical side. And I thought we produced the physical side to it today.
Yeah, I loved our fouling in their box before they transitioned. I loved it. Every time we fouled them, I felt like cheering. If I was at the ground, I would have been cheering, Cav, because that's what we've been crying out for. Tactical foul, stop teams in transition. If you do little small ones, the referee won't look to give you a yellow card. Who are the kings of this? Man City. We have seen them do it again, and foreign teams do it as well.
Real Madrid.
Foreign teams do it. Real Madrid are the kings of it. Casemiro was the master of it. I love that side of the game. I know we're probably thinking not much going on, but we just kept nullifying them. A couple of dashing runs from probably the best winger in world football is no surprise, is no shock. That's allowed to happen, right?
Yeah, and the thing today is, like, it was obvious having played Napoli the first time round and being well beat off the park. Let's be honest, we knew what we were coming up against, and we knew that they were the most informed side in Europe. They're good defensively, they have an engine room in midfield, and they have good, fluid, pacey attacks. I mean, sounds like a team that we know quite well of old, don't it? Yeah. But it was clear to see what Liverpool would have to do to have a chance in this game. And Omar's right, it is about the fight. But I think the thing today was with the players that I seen was they actually looked like they enjoyed the fight. And that was the difference. You know, they actually looked like they was ready for battle, you know, and wanting to impress and wanting to do well. They played today like they were earning a spot in the team, as opposed to, you know, being relaxed, lethargic, and the fight being brought to them. They matched Napoli up in that sense. And then the good thing for me was it wasn't just rash fight. It wasn't, you were right, there were tactical fouls in there, but there was actually some intelligent pressing and some intelligent fouls and some intelligent tackling, you know. And it wasn't a case that we were chopping them down, slowing the pace down, you know, trying to slow the tempo. No, actually, it was just that we were matching the fight. And then when we got the ball, we actually played really well on the ground, passing around, you know, not necessarily in the final third, cutting them open, but in the middle of the pitch and defensively. Once you won that first ball, maybe a second ball, we always recycled the ball and did it with pace. And that was the difference today with what we've seen a lot of this season.
You're so spot on. Absolutely, exactly what I was going to say. And I don't want to be fucking one of those boring shows where we're all agreeing, but sometimes it's glaringly in your face and you have to call it as it is. Straight away from the off, guys, Holmes, I looked at the shape and I looked at the formation and I thought to myself, and I tweeted at halftime, and I said, it's so glaringly obvious that we've been coached 4-3-3 for the last 5-6 years, meticulously. Because whoever stepped in, do you remember whoever stepped in would still be able to play that role completely? So the centre-backs knew the passages of play. The full-backs understood where the angles to make those passes in midfield. The midfielders, the 2-8s knew, Fabinho knew his role, and the forwards knew. Curtis Jones was a little bit of out of sorts for the first 20 minutes or so, which is absolutely understandable. Salah was playing wide and Bobby reveled in his number 9 role. We didn't have that threat because we haven't got the pace, power, intensity in those legs, in those players, i.e. Fabinho, Milner, Bobby, anymore to play to the high levels that we've achieved. But for sure, you could see the pattern. And you know, the one thing, Ohms, it wasn't chaotic, was it? Like Cav says, it wasn't chaotic.
Yeah, it wasn't chaotic. I think initially on that, when you look at the Liverpool team that won the Champions League and Premier League, like it was so set in stone, like you say. We had our 2 centre backs who at the back, then we had a midfield 3, which was like a block, right? You had the likes of Henderson, White-Naldo, and Firmino, who literally, it was like a back 5 almost, like a narrow back 5 that just blocked up everything and squeezed oppositions. And that basically allowed our 2 fullbacks and our front 3 basically to cause chaos, cause havoc up front as a 5. Yeah. It almost, sometimes it's felt like, when you go back to that sort of simplicity, it's like, why have we tried to overcomplicate our tactics? Like bring the fullbacks inverted, send a central midfielder out wide. Like, why do we need to do that? And it was almost like we went back to basics, and it showed. It was like muscle memory. These guys just knew what to do in their positions, and they performed their role in their positions in the system. It was nothing too complicated. I thought it was fairly even, 50-50 in terms of possession. But yeah, it's just like everyone knew what they were doing. And when you know what you're doing, a bit like the Man City game, we had a game plan. We were like, we'll make it hard for City. We'll concede possession to City, and then we'll counter them. And that's fine. When you're playing Man City and Napoli, who are playing with such levels of confidence, such sort of flair and aura on the ball, you have to sometimes concede. And sometimes Klopp might have been criticised for not doing that, trying to go toe-to-toe when we're not on form. But when you sort of look at the game, you have a common sense of view and perspective on the actual game, and you say, all right, let Napoli have the ball around the back. We'll make it hard and we'll hit them. And I thought we did. I think the only place we might have been able to maybe improve on is when we had the ball. I think we can still be a little bit patient. We tried to rush it a bit too much, tried to force things where it was like, all right, we have the ball now. Let's set Napoli back and let's control the ball. I don't care if we pass it around the back a few times. Let's sort of squeeze on them and then we'll create. Because the likes of Jones and Salah and Firmino like coming to the ball. They like working in those sort of spaces, in the half spaces. So it was almost like we went back to basics. It was a Champions League night, high intensity, energy in midfield, and then we'll go from there. And that's what it felt like. There's certainly levels to go up, but it's a good starting block in my opinion.
Absolutely. Just a few super chats before we continue. KM1365 says, main best thing, no big injuries. We started our B team in certain places whilst Napoli went all in. We are cooking. Also, Curtis played great today. We're going to get onto Curtis' chat in a bit right now. Spider LFC sends in a generous super chat. If that's Spider LFC who was in the calling show the other day, big up
It
yourself,
was, Grizz.
my friend.
Yeah, it definitely was, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Big up yourself. Big up, lads. Missed Big Ibu big time. Oh, we all did, mate. We all fucking did. Oh, my heart. Millie's smart one show today. Exactly. Fab was overworked. Trent still a liability, and Jones was better, but still too slow on the pass. Cheers for having me on Saturday. Of course. Sorry. Thank you. Gandahar says, thoughts replacing Thiago with Vegetic at 60 minutes? Question mark. Perhaps this period will be helpful for him. Talented boy, and as Grizz says, pressure makes diamonds. Absolutely does. You throw them in there, and we'll get on to the youngsters that came in at the end as well. Next opponents are either Madrid, PSG, Bayern, Porto. February's miles away. February's miles and miles away. God knows what state we're going to be in. They're going to be in, lineups, injuries, all kind of state. We enjoy today. We talk about today, and Cav, we talk about sort of, I guess, not surprise signing, but sort of the one player that quite a bit of pressure for whatever reason. I want to say pressure, but sort of time to shine, try to create a role for himself, try to create a squad place for himself, Curtis Jones. Your thoughts on him?
Overall, I think everyone likes Curtis Jones, and everyone knows what he's good at. When he played for the under-21s and the younger age groups, and that he was actually quite a prolific goal scorer, and he was an attacking midfielder. And since he's come into the first team, he's been played across the midfield. You know, played in a bit of a strange role against Forest when he played deep and stuff. So he's been moved around, and he's trying to find his way in this team. He's trying to realistically shove out people that are better than him, and he's really struggled. He's never really had that breakthrough season. He's just had flashes, and then obviously the injuries haven't helped. So for me personally, how I look at Curtis Jones now is that he might just be a player for us that isn't a star in the terms of the levels of like your Fodens and your Bellinghams and them people, but if you can stay fit, I think he's a really good asset to the squad because he's quite reliable in terms of retaining ball possession and just keep things ticking over. If he's a player that comes on as a sub when you're up in the game, great. If you drop him into the odd game, great. But we shouldn't really expect too much of him. That's certainly my opinion anyway. But just going on to today's game, he was played in a position whereby he was given more freedom to go and attack, and that's what he is better at, as opposed to dropping deep and trying to create from the number 6 position or drive from the midfield. He's actually better further up the pitch. You know, he retains the ball really well. His first touch is always good. He started the game really well. You know, for a guy that, like you say, he gets knocked from different corners of social media and different fans and stuff, and he should be a guy that's absolutely shot of confidence. But actually, he played with a bit of assurance of himself, and you know, he was asking for the ball. He was linking up quite well. I recall one time where he sort of did a little drag back and played a nice ball through to, I think it was Simicas, who then put a ball in the box. He was involved. That's one thing I would say, and he was holding his own. Now, the trouble is, if that's going to be his position, and that's where I think, I mean, today was one of his better games for Liverpool, and if that's where he wants to play, he needs to be more prolific, though. You know, he needs to get in the box. He got in the box at times, a couple of chances from headers, but wasn't, you know, anywhere near scoring. if that's the place he wants to play, he needs to make their runs. He needs to want to score. He needs to want to assist. He did everything but that for me today. I thought his overall performance was really good, as long as you can accept he wouldn't score goals or get assists. But I was happy for him. You know, I'm pleased for him. He's still a Liverpool player. He's a local lad, and if you can put in performances like that, great. You know, that's good enough.
It's going to be. There's nothing going to be conclusive about him for a little while yet. A, because he's young, and B, we still don't know what the coaches have got planned for him in a positional sense wise, right? And as you said, against Forest in a double pivot, today he's been asked to be 4-3-3 front wide striker, right, Omar? They're two totally different roles tactically, and to expect a young kid, and people forget because he's quite tall, he's quite a physique on him. You know, he's still 21, I believe, possibly 22. I just don't think we can write him off or think he's the next coming of Stevie G as well. Like there is an in between, right, Omar?
Yeah. There isn't an in between, and there's also I'm absolutely fine with him being a good squad player. Like I think there is sometimes a lot of pressure on these youngsters to come in a team, and just because they're youngsters, they have to be Trent, they have to be Gerrard. They're not all going to be that, but like if he ends up being an effective and good player for us for years to come, as long as he's happy here, I'm fine with that. I agree with the role. We've never really solidified a role. I think we've seen the best from him on the left of a midfield three, and I think it was unfair for him to just be thrown into a midfield pivot away at Nottingham Forest at the last minute, like completely surrounded. I thought that was his first 90 as well. I think it like he was going to be bound to have a bad game essentially because of those circumstances. I don't know if he's got that sort of directness we sort of need from a left winger. I think there were a few times.
No, he hasn't. Let's call it how it is. Yeah. He hasn't got that speed and the dynamism how we're used to watching our wide men play. Right? Let's say that.
Yeah.
Am I here? Is it bugging?
Yeah. No, you are. Sorry, I just seen a couple comments, man. Like, come on, man. Like, thank you, Tenzin, for tuning in. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe. But what is this messy comparison? Like, this is what I like dislike. Like, players aren't going to be messy. You need to stop comparing them to Messi. One is just turned 22, I believe. If that, I think he might still be 21. So
no, he's 21 still.
He's 21. So like even comments like he's not 23. Someone essay he's 21, and like I know he's been around for a while, but 21 is still very, very young. And I just think today he might not have that directness. Fine, like Grizz said, we'll call it how it is, but give the guy a chance, right? This is his second 90. He's played under 300 minutes this season when guys have played close to 1,000, well over 1,000 already. Like, you can't expect people, especially in a team that's in bad form, to just sort of step up and just take it away. Like, fair enough, they might be able to do that if they're extremely special cases, but he's still a 21-year-old trying to learn his trade and trying to find a role in this team. So just give him time, man. Like if we had these sort of fans back in like 1999, 2000, I guarantee you the same things would be being said about Steven Gerrard, who admitted how many times he had stinkers against players.
They would have called him a brainless local Scouser kid who's just coming through because he's a local 100%. Lad and the fans like that's what they would call him, because he got sent off, booked, he was caught out of possession so many times, tried Hollywood passes all the time. That was Steven Gerrard, because I watched it. I watched him through it. That was Steven Gerrard, and he would have been smoked on social media. Who's this skinny kid? He's got nothing about him, nothing. He's just driving around, he's a liability. He's got no football sense. I mean, you're right. Curtis Jones went on the pitch, and I think he's one of the few people that went on the pitch today that was feeling under pressure. You could kind of tell, like, from the atmosphere and crowd, he doesn't need to feel like that. Now, I get it. It's because of the state of the team, Cav, because we're Liverpool Football Club, and we've been on the crest of a wave, and in terms of we want to reach those levels again. I get it that he's been kind of pressured into taking us back there, or people want to see that he's as good as a Mane or a Thiago. He's never gonna be that type of player. But can he be molded, as you said, into a valuable squad player? I think so.
That's the key. But I think the thing with Curtis Jones, and maybe the thing that fans struggle with, is it's very hard to sort of pin him down as to what type of player he is. Like, what box do you put him in? We always like to do this with players, you know. Salah, he's a right winger that scores goals. He's in that box. Nunez, centre forward, presses really well. He's in that box. Curtis Jones, because we've seen him in so many positions, and we've seen him score worldies against, Brentford and Everton. But he's not really a goal scorer. Doesn't really get assists. Won't really go by a man. But is actually quite tricky, quite technical. And it's like, what player actually is it?
What position exactly? What does he do? But how many players did we have that in the past? Obviously, used to are way too young to remember Ronnie Whelan, right? But Ronnie Whelan was always talked about. Like, what does he do? Yet he was part of the most successful Liverpool team and a fucking pivotal member of that. Game judges, good touch on him, used to know, good chest control. He wasn't like Curtis Jones, but what I mean, like, before people that remember Ronnie Whelan and start slaughtering me, I'm not saying stylistically, I'm saying in terms of value to a team, where unsung hero type thing. Gini Wijnaldum in recent times, not a great assister, not a great goal scorer, had very good ball control, could take us up the pitch when needed to. Do you remember? And Gini was doing this at the age of 28, 29, 30. For God's sake, this guy's 21. So who's to say that he can't get in the gym, build up his profile, build up his role, get coaching, and then become like a Gini? Almost a hidden little gem kind of thing. Did you get what I'm saying, guys?
I like this comment by Claire as well, because like, he is a youngster, and like the thing about youngsters is you want them to be tactically aware in different roles. And we might not see the benefits of it now, but I promise you, Curtis Jones in about 5-6 years, whatever, will have that sort of experience to say, all right, if there is an injury crisis in a certain position, he has that tactical awareness of how to play in a certain position. Like, you see it in someone like James Milner, who his whole career has been shipped around in so many different positions and can play so many different positions well. It's why he not like, obviously he's not the player he was, but when Milner was crossing the 30-year-old mark, he was being used
so many different teams in so many. Exactly, he was used in a Mancini team that won the league. People forget that, and he was a crucial member. It doesn't mean he was the star of the team. You don't always have to be a star of the team.
And probably for the first 4 or 5 years on the clock, up until we won the Premier League, he was used exactly the same: left back, right back, centre mid, left mid, right mid. So like people need to understand that young players, like, fine if they're cemented in the position, but when they're not, give them the time to like sort of learn,
to develop and find their position.
Like, I understand football fans are impatient, right? You want success, and like sometimes you think there is no time, but trust me, there is time. And times like this in a dead rubber where Curtis Jones, you can play him at left wing. You play him there and you let him learn there. The only way he learns is by playing. You can learn so much on a training pitch, but to learn how to play a game of football, you play a game of football. You don't learn that on a training pitch. You don't feel that intensity. You don't feel that opposition on a training pitch. So be patient with our youngsters. That's what, if I was speaking to the fans right now, I'd say be patient with the likes of Carvalho, Elliott, Jones, right? The onus is on these guys to step up, but still, we're meant to have these senior pros who are still meant to set the tone. And I think there's now a bit of pressure, more pressure on the youngsters, because the senior pros aren't setting that tone that they were setting. So it's like, oh, what's next? Jones, Elliott, Carvalho, right? You guys got to step up immediately. This guy has been injured for pretty much the whole season. He's played 4 or 5 games. Let him take his time. Let him get into his rhythm. And I thought he played well today. Like, he was starting to get that mojo back. I feel sorry for the young footballers nowadays, because like we touched on, like the social media thing. Back in the day, you didn't have that. Now footballers look at social media; they know what's going on. If they're human, if I was a footballer and I saw 5 to 10 comments of slander to me, that would affect me. Whether I showed it or not, that would affect me. So sometimes just be a bit patient with these guys. Just let them develop.
Isao says, not going to lie, not convinced by him. We're not convinced that he's going to have a long, successful Liverpool career. None of us have actually said that, even if we think that. None of us have said that, bro. That's what we're just discussing. Sort of 21 is no age to write off a player. And if you're saying you don't see nothing in him, then that's you, my friend. I can't. If anyone who watches football says I don't see nothing in him, then I don't want to be rude.
Can I just add something as well? Like when we say like we need to give him time and stuff, yes, but I'm not expecting Foden levels from him. I'm just expecting good. And the thing is, as well, think about this squad moving forward. You've possibly got Milner leaving, who's a utility player. You've probably got Henderson going into that utility player role. You need these players that, yeah, they're not the world's best, but as long as they can stay fit, this is the key thing. If he stays fit and he's reliable, then he's perfectly fine to drop into this team and do a job. Today was a perfect example of it. We're playing the most informed side in Europe. This guy played left wing and we won the game, which means he can do a job. You know, that might be his role in this Liverpool squad.
It doesn't register sometimes with people. How you've broken it down is exactly what it's about, but people refuse, and it's just so like, look, I'm saying it on record. I'm not convinced that he's got a long, successful career at Liverpool. As Omar said earlier, it's up to him. It's up to Carvalho. It's up to Elliott to prove so. But the only thing we're going to end up, we're going to move it on. People are, probably thinking, we're picking on like one aspect, but
it's testimonial.
Like, yeah, it's testimonial. It's literally that. It's like, give the guy a break sometimes, because I just felt there was undue pressure on him. It didn't need to be. So, he's up against great players. Di Lorenzo is probably the best fullback in Europe right now. And, he held it up against him, played it inside. His timing of passes, all the usual accusations of him are valid. He will learn how to release the ball better. He does take too many touches. Sometimes is ponderous on the ball. But I tell you what, not anyone can carry the ball like him. Not everyone, can carry the ball like him. You see sometimes where he carries the ball, you think, oh, I like that. You see him touch the ball in a tight area and control it, beat a couple of players without being skillful, without being quick. You think to yourself, that's down to skill levels. So, look, here's what it is. The game itself, I don't recall any chances, guys. Do you recall any major issues or incidents in that first half? We had the Mo Salah one where he's just offside, I guess. Again, Curtis Jones through ball. Some would say he could have played it a millisecond earlier, but hey, playing left wing, suddenly he signs himself on the right wing and times a beautiful pass through, learning different roles and positions. Any standouts in that first half, do you guys think?
No, a lot of the good. There was a lot of good play, but it wasn't necessarily in the boxes. Just looking at the chances Napoli had in that first half, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but the Georgian kid
Cravadonna.
There you go. That's why you're better than me in this business. Yeah. Who plays left wing out there? He started like a house on fire, to be honest with you. He picked up the ball, and when he was given space, he was just driving past Trent, ghosted past him. Incredible speed. And then even in tight areas, he was tricky. He was managing to dribble his way out. He was linking up really nicely. And it created half chances for Napoli. They got a couple of shots away from him, being a bit destructive, but they ended up being pretty tame shots into Ali. I'll mention it now. He did fade out the game. If he'd have kept up that first 15, 20 minutes for a 90, you'd be, wow, one of the best performances you've seen.
It would have been an absolute amazing,
Yeah. But other than that, no, both Napoli and Liverpool, they didn't create too much. I alluded to the chances that Salah gave to Curtis as well, where he sort of headed one over the bar and then put another one wide.
There was a Thiago shot, which Thiago plays it outside the foot and Salah lays it off, which was there. Mm-hmm. But it was pretty. Other than everything,
can we safely scold to one of the star men and the reason why it was pretty quiet? Because we're talking about Cravadonna, who started off like a house on fire. And before anyone says, I'm not saying Trent totally nullified him, because I don't think Trent is even remotely close to his A game yet. but he was slightly better after that horrible start. Only slightly, though. I want to speak about, here we go. Claire knows exactly where I'm going with this. My guy was back today. And you know what? This is poetic, guys. This is poetic. This is Anfield. Called it God Bless Ibu. And do you know where they got that from?
From you?
Do you know where they got that from?
From you?
God bless Ibu. My tweet. I was just so happy for this guy. because I know a friend who is a very close friend to, and I'm in a WhatsApp group with him. Get me? WhatsApp group with him. But this guy, oh man, he enables us to play in a different way and a more comfortable way. And you know what I love about him, guys? He's fucking intimidating alongside Virgil. It was almost like Virgil and Ibu were like the Bruise brothers back. And that Osimhen is no fairy. Like, he is one of the most intimidating strikers in Europe. And we had him falling over, crying injury, feigning injury, holding his head. The Bruise brothers are back, Omar.
Yep. Man, it was good to see them back, because you just see these 6'5", 6'6" tall, strong men in your way, and it's a different ball game. I agree with the and this is it, man. This has always been it with Liverpool. We have always had, I'd say up until this season, a pair of centre-backs who have had the speed, the strength, the awareness to just sniff out absolutely anything. This whole Trent agenda, whatever, it's not like it's just appeared. It's always been there because of the way we play. Trent has never really been told when we're in their half to sit on their right winger. He's always been told to look forward, look to press forward, look to step on their midfield, look to step sometimes on their winger. That gap's always been there. We've been able to play like that because we have had Matip and Gomez in their prime, then Konate coming into his prime, absolutely bossing any right winger that sort of gets in behind and literally shifting them. And I think it's now notable because maybe Gomez hasn't been on it this season. Matip, maybe hasn't been on it this season. Konate's been missing. We haven't had that sort of right centre-back who has been so imperious, right? And so it's now like, they keep getting in behind, la-di-da, la-di-da. What we saw from him today was exactly what you say, an imperious defender. And I think he's sort of, I think him and a couple others, actually. I think Milner, I think Fabinho had the bite. I think Simic has had good bite. But Ibu sort of set that sort of intensity, aggression, and a bit of nastiness. Because
man, I loved it. You're right.
They bullied us realistically in the last game. And what I loved actually from that first half, what was my highlight from a pretty closely contested game, was that we were feisty, that we were intense. Right, Trent gets beaten by Kvaratskhelia, but he leaves a little one in and throws him into the hoardings. Konate, first time he's up against him, bodges him off. Like, we needed that bite and sort of aggression, and that is so key to the way Liverpool's identity has been, and it's such an underrated factor in, I think, every football team. I think all the best football teams have that intensity and aggression to their game, and I thought him back in the team sort of spread throughout the team. It was almost like he's come back in. We're all gonna be up for it now. If you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I'm sure you want to speak on Konate. I could speak all night about Ibrahima Konate. Again, how old is he, guys? Someone in the chat very quickly tell us how old he is. Again, definitely under 23. And a guy that's here for the future. God forbid, any long-term injuries or anything like that. This guy is for the future. He's a monster. You can tell he's going to develop. I've often spoken about his performances near the end of last season, where for me, he was the outstanding centre-back. And he, as I said, today kept Osimhen as quiet as I've ever seen it. And don't let anyone tell you that Napoli weren't really up for it. They were. You could see the manager, you could see the fans, you could see the selection. you know, he was definitely up for it. They didn't have to play Osimhen and Cravadonna and Lozano. They've got a massive game on Saturday against Atalanta, but he knew he wanted to create an impression. He wanted Europe to know that they can go to Anfield and be not this, you know, team that's people talking about. They wanted to get one over us, and we didn't let them. And this guy was one of the main reasons, Kev.
Oh yeah, I'm like you, Grizz. I could speak about this guy all night. But just before I do, Napoli played well today. Let's not forget that. They played very well today. It hasn't been said, but it should be said. We didn't just play a name today. We didn't just play an informed side. We played a team that on the day played well as well. You know, as good as we were in that game, they were equally as good, I thought, in both their passing, their pressing, their tackling stuff. So it was a very fair fight. And that just adds to how imperious Ibu was. I mean, I don't care going overboard with this. I don't even think it is overboard. I think that this guy, if he could stay fit and he put together a full season, he would be one of the best centre backs in the world. But I'm not afraid to say it. He has everything. He has height. I think he's 6'5". He has power in both his physical battles and in his running. He has speed. There's only one flaw in his game, and as he played more, he improved on it, and he didn't do it today. But he tends to get dragged out into midfield a couple of times when he's following defenders, and that got exposed a couple of times in his first few games for Liverpool. But he improved on it as he played. But other than that, he does absolutely everything, and I imagine Virgil is so comfortable next to him because he knows he doesn't have to worry about his partner. He knows he doesn't have to mentor him through a game. Like Virgil plays on the left side of that defense, and he just worries about the left side of the defense because he knows Ibu's got it on the other side. Whereas when he plays with Gomez, I always feel like he's got to sort of be the leader in that and sort of coach him through. But the thing that Konate added to his game, well, not added to his game today, but what he's shown in today's game, he harnessed his inner Matip, started drifting through midfield. And I tell you what, unless you're in front of him and he'll run over you anyway. But, you know, people are trying to come at him from the side and stuff. You ain't moving him. You ain't moving him. You better foul him. And that's what they ended up doing a couple of times, you know. And he broke into that midfield really, really well. His passing was good. You know, there was a couple of occasions where he gave it away, but that was at the start of the game. And you could just say, just a bit of rustiness first game back. But actually, he continued to try and make them passes, thread it into the forwards and stuff, and it come off. He was exceptional, and like he is at the age of 23, he touch wood stays injury free. Is the future for Liverpool, really. The years beyond he's the present if he's fit, and then the years beyond Virgil and the next decade or so, God willing, he stays fit. God willing, he's happy at Liverpool and stays. He is the man. He's the guy. I thought he was exceptional today, and he was on that right side against, like you say, Osimhen and the Georgian kid. Two of the most scariest people you can play at the minute for
right
your
now,
first.
Absolutely, right now they are. You're right.
First
They're the
game
best
back,
left side in Europe.
First game back after his injury. Not only them two as his direct opponents, but informed defenses, moving the ball around well, energetic midfielders that are bypassing our midfield on occasions. Did not look out of place whatsoever. He was commanding. He was everything that you want in a centre-back. And I'm just so pleased he's ours. I just really hope he stays fit. That's the only thing. I absolutely love the guy. And he does it all. Worst thing is, does it all with a smile on his face. Never seen the guy get angry.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think you've nailed it in terms of, look, it made the whole team structure set up look much better. And obviously it helped. We discussed the shape, guys. Just look, even if you just don't really look into average positions and you don't like analyzing and you don't really understand too much of the complexities of the tactical side of games, even if you just look at that, it looks so much more balanced, spread out, kind of structured. And this is the key thing that I've been barking on about, guys. I'm sorry to keep saying the same thing last 2-3 shows, but it was so apparent, wasn't it, Ohms and Latcav, right? Where I kept saying there's no control. It's hectic. We're treating the ball like a hot potato. It's 1-2, 1-2, and then bang into a channel. That is just so not Liverpool. Today, it may not have had the, as I said, it may not have had the pace and intensity of games gone by or years gone by almost, but the structure and patterns of play were there. And this absolutely helps, doesn't it, Omar? Just look at the symmetry on that.
Yeah, and straight away, like you look at that, it's so much more secure in midfield. It feels so much more solid. It looks like it actually looks like a formation instead of a mess. And look,
yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
It looks like a formation rather than a mess. I think you've got a mess for us to show us, right?
Yeah, I'll show you. So this was the look at that.
Look at that.
Like, why
Can you explain what that is? Can you explain what that is, by the way, people?
So guys, this is the Leeds game. So yeah, this was our shape in the Leeds game. And look, straight away, look, Elliot's right out on the touchline with Trent. Thiago's back with Virgil. Fabinho's almost in a back three. The front three are narrow. It's sort of like there's just if you want to be a good defensive team, the best way to defend is by not allowing gaping holes within your team. And today, look at that sort of gaping hole between Gomez, Fabinho, Firmino, and Elliot. There's a massive hole which Leeds sort of powered through, right? We don't want to stick onto the Leeds game, but we knew what Leeds did. They absolutely spammed it through the middle. Now, this one, that gap is not there. There aren't really gaps to this team. And no wonder Fabinho looked better today because he's got Milner a bit closer to him. He's got Thiago a bit closer to him. It's bound to happen. I know there's Fabinho hasn't been on it this season, and
he still wasn't.
Yeah,
we'll get onto ratings maybe later. Hint, hint. We might do a rating show tomorrow, Holmes, but we'll see. Anyway, but the point being is he still wasn't back to magnificent, fabulous, like I call him Fabinho, but you could see he was comfortable in his own position, skin, role.
He was. I thought off the ball he was. Like, I think on the ball, he still needs to sort of move the ball quicker.
Yes.
But again, like he committed about 10 fouls today. He didn't get a yellow.
Loved it.
He was smiling himself because there was one in the second half at the end, which I was like, that's a blatant yellow.
He was smiling like he knew he'd got away with a yellow card in that entire game. Yeah.
Shout out to Ibra from Luton, a very good friend of mine. Big up yourself. That's exactly how he looks like in real life as well. He says the shape of our default position is almost like Klopp pressed a reset button, hence why Fabinho looked a bit better and the defense was never isolated, all the fullbacks. Spot on. As usual, my go-to guy when it comes to all things tactical acumen in Liverpool, but he's too shy to put his face on the camera because he looks exactly like that. Sorry, Holmes and Cavs, you guys were saying, sorry.
I just want to touch on Harvey Elliott quickly because I know Harvey Elliott played pretty much the whole.
Can we get to that, Harvey Elliott?
Okay, yeah.
Why are you doing?
No. Just. Can I say two sentences? Right. I just want to say Elliott sort of filled into that role where Milner was closer to Fabinho more than he has all season. Normally he is sort of wider, but I thought he did play a bit more centrally, and it did still feel quite more secure. But yeah,
we'll get. I guess we'll get into the real action of things when substitutions and everything. Just go for a few super chats. Cam says next opponents are either Madrid, PSG, Bayern, Porto. Bring them on. Honestly, I can't give a shit right now. I will start addressing, and this is not disrespect to you. I'm just saying generally, my mindset is all about the Premier League games up to then. Mm-hmm. We have to get back in the race for Champions League. Ramsey looked good and he's tall. Trent into midfield. At the moment, my friend Cam, Trent has to worry about his place in the team. Never mind positions and choice of positions. That's just my personal opinion. We'll get the other two lads' personal opinions as well. Yo, what's good? Liverpool is good tonight. Finally, my bro.
Finally.
My guy. Calvin Ramsey and Carvalho had a beautiful cameo. Ramsey seemed so composed. Beautifully. Honestly. Bejitic had the same amount of tackles as Fabinho. Oh my God, if that's true. Hope that's not true. Hope you're trolling and laughing. Lol. And Amajit says, Salah being UCL's top scorer having the worst season. Listen, people can talk about Salah what they want, say about Salah what they want, man. This guy is our gem, and I'm so happy he's ours. What was I saying? What was I asking you guys?
I don't know. Can I just add to the Fabinho point, right? Fabinho obviously is out of form and he's not what he was, right? But if you think back to the title-winning seasons or the seasons where we were really good, what we did as a team was we pushed really high up and we compressed the pitch up into the opposition's half. And so we were only playing in a 30, 40-yard area of the pitch. And what that means is when you're compact, your midfielders are around you. So challenges are happening from Thiago or Henderson or whoever it is. And Fabinho was mopping up, you know, that's why we called him the lighthouse. Loose balls, he'd mop them up. Challenges were within 2-3 yards of him. He'd get the ball, he'd win it, he'd recycle it. It's no coincidence that this season, the game's been so stretched that every challenge he has to make, he has to run 10 yards before he gets to the man. Yeah. The person can see him coming a mile off and just
swim. And they don't even have but the worst part is, Cav, I get all that. The worst part is, right? Do you remember? See, again, I'm fucking too old for this shit, man. I can't have joke with you lot. You won't get my jokes, right? But you lot won't remember Ski Sunday, right? And
I do.
No, you don't, man. You was about 4.
Ski Sunday as a kid.
All right, but you know Ski Sunday, right? You don't even have to to beat Fabinho. You don't even have to do a Ronaldinho, you know, or R9. You know, like when the French defenders were describing R9, right? You don't even have to do that. You just have to do a Ski Sunday slalom, right? To beat Fabinho, go past him at will. It's so easy to slalom past him. And and you're right, Cav, because of that gap that has formed between the team, the roles and the positions. Because when we were at our best, what we used to do is put them in fucking jail, like a 12 by 12 and not let them out. And Fabinho used to just go around literally a yard left, yard right.
All day in everyone's faces.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. And it's no coincidence that the best game he's probably had this season was Man City, because they pushed us back and we were compact, not up the pitch, but in our own box, in and around our own half. And we were compact. And so that kind of situation arose again. I felt like today was a really pleasing thing to see. I didn't think he was good today. I'll be totally honest. I like that he gave the fouls away, but realistically, there were challenges he probably should have won the ball, not the foul. So, but, you know, that being said,
let's segue into the first major incident of the game, which is his stupid, unnecessary foul in the R right back scenario. Napoli get a free kick, and I'm going mad at Fabinho, just leaving that leg out. The guy's running into players, like he's not running away from us. He's running into further centre backs, and that further centre back is Konate. He's not fucking waltzing past Konate, the form he's in. Use your thing. It leaves and we're lucky to get away with that, right, lads? You know, it's offside because they've got all that 3D, 4D bullshit these days, right? But why did it take so long? Any idea?
Have you seen that 3D?
Yeah, that's what
it looks like. It's fairly straightforward, so I don't get it why it's taking so long. But hey, it's quite funny because they have like a little throbbing red zone for when it's offside, and it's quite funny.
I mean, do they have to load up the 3D thing? Surely this thing's automated.
No, you're right. It might you laugh, Holmes, but I think he's right. They might have to upload it and shit, download it and shit. It takes time because it looked quite obvious to the naked eye. You know the shot that we got from BT Sport. We thought, oh, hello, offside. But then they've got that shot probably, and they've got all the technology. Well, we know for definite, and they still took 3-4 minutes. It's almost like they were looking to try to allow it.
Yeah,
it was disallowed.
Disallowed quite clearly, rightfully so. But you know, in times of old where we didn't have that technology, and you'd give the benefit to the.
Apparently, it takes time to generate the model.
That makes sense. Then that makes sense. But like, if times of old where we didn't have that technology, or you know, we didn't quite have the angles or the 3D modeling we do now, apparently, it seemed harsh. Because it was so tight, but that is what the technology is there for. You know, they made the right decision. What I would say is the cross into the box was bang on the money, though.
Yeah,
it was the Georgian fella again, and it was in that area.
He's fucking good, isn't it, Kev? He's fucking good. I love him.
I knew he was pacey. I knew he was tricky. I didn't realize he takes set pieces. Jesus Christ! And it was between. Between the defense and Alisson, and there wasn't much of a gap there, and he put it bang on the spot. And I can't remember, was it Ostergaard who got his head on it?
Yeah. Who had a good game? Who looks another gem?
He played for Stoke and Coventry, apparently. That's what a commentator said. I need to double check that.
They're finding gems. Oi, lads. How much did Napoli buy Kim for?
18 million from Fenerbahce, and then Kvaratskhelia was 9 million.
He don't even look like a footballer. He looks like someone's dad's just like come from down from the stands and put the kit on and played. Like he is decent. Even his passing.
So good. Like we've all heard about these guys, right? And I'm not going to testify to watching Napoli religiously. Yes, I've watched quite a few games of theirs. This guy, my God, where are they finding these gems from, lads? Like even the left back, what a brilliant game against Salah again. Oliveira, you know, Napoli put out there, like I'm telling you, man, the centre back was missing through injury, I think. I'm pretty sure. I had a chat with Mo yesterday, and he was saying they're missing their centre back, and Osteran's going to come in. So it looks like a Mexican cowboy, Assad says. Well, he didn't play like a cowboy. I tell you, Khalid says he just looks like a bloke.
That's a great shout.
I don't know what that means.
That's what I'm saying. He's the most average-looking bloke you'll ever see. He just plays like a brilliant footballer.
You know what? He gives me weirdly like he's like a Gareth Bale. He just comes from a tiny nation, and he's just like electric, and he's doing it on the Champions League. All of a sudden, he's gonna burst on the scene. Bro, we need to be there to try and swoop up because, bro,
tell you what, how old is he, Holmes? If he came from Fenerbahce,
25.
What an age! We're looking for a centre back in the summer. What did you think I'm talking about?
We're talking about Kvaratskhelia. Oh my God! Yeah, no, this guy.
No.
Wait,
hold on. Am I off the scale? Am I wrong? Are you guys talking about Kvaratskhelia?
No, I'm talking about Kim. I'm talking about
Kim.
Yeah,
Kim.
Yeah.
Holmes, focus, innit? Yeah. Like, we're talking about Kim, and you're still on Kvaratskhelia fucking hype and vibes. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, man, he was. So yeah, we're getting mixed up, Conrad. Well, you know Holmes, innit? He starts wandering off and fucking thinking about all things fucking fantasy in his own head. But
you're not wrong.
Got a super chat that I want to talk about. John Page sends in a super chat. He says, "Look out, our second back four. Ramsey, Gomez, Matip, and Costas would be brilliant in cup games. I tell you what, you'd be hard pressed. I'm telling you, man, to find a quad. Look, we'll get onto the subs, and I'm excited and probably eager as you guys are to talk about a couple of them. But I knew we're going to win, guys. I sensed it, and I knew it's going to be from a set. Go on, what are you going to say?
Can I say this is why I said Bell, because I was talking about Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I was thinking, how the fuck is he comparing Kim to Gareth
Bale?
Are you having one of those days?
No. Now I sound like an idiot.
Well, it wouldn't be the first, and it's not going to be the last. So
set the record straight. You're all right.
But we get a lifeline, and guess what happens? The Anfield crowd wakes up, and I tweeted it. Anfield woke, and obviously, opposition fans started saying it took you an hour. But whatever, who gives a shit? We woke. And I knew once the crowd gets a bit of a lift, Napoli now have to show me that they are one of the big boys that have the ability and capability, not only through playing ability, but the mental side of things. And guess what? We showed that we are not dead. We are not dead in the team. We are not dead in the water. We have still got something about us. We go up the other end, and Holmes, I guess you get first dibs at the first goal.
Oh, cheers. Yeah. You know what? It was exactly like the Man City game where they had that disallowed goal, and then Anfield just exploded. And look, can Napoli hack a rattled Anfield? I don't know if many teams can hack a rattled Anfield. This is why I need Anfield to be rattled all the time. Bring the heat, because boy, when you bring the heat, teams start making mistakes. Trust me. Being on that pitch, you hear the elevated noise. You hear the swear words coming out of Paul from Crosby. Do you know what I mean? Like you hear it. So yeah, the first goal, it was. We're certain it was Salah's goal, right? Because I think it was. So I thought it was Van Dijk who headed it, but it was Nunez apparently who headed it.
Yeah, it was Nunez.
Nunez. I think. Yeah, but yeah, it's weird because both goals were exactly the same. Like downward headers that went into the path. But yeah, I've been crying out. I've been crying out for our corners to actually be effective. And for once, we hit 2 corners bang on the money. I think Tsimikas took them both. And yeah, Napoli, as after that goal, we just sort of upped it again. I thought the Elliott sub, sort of he kept us a bit more composed on the ball. There was a nice bit of interplay, like in our right hand corner, which got us up the pitch. I think might have led to the corner, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, not really much to say on the goal other than I feel like on the overall performance, I do feel like we may have deserved to nick it 1-0, and we did.
I love set piece goals. I love towering headers. I love having physical presence in box. Cav, we've said it so many times. So many great teams, so many league-winning, cup-winning teams have not always played the amazing, beautiful football that breaks up teams every game. You have to have that set piece ability in your team. And if you look through our team today, Konate, Virgil, Fabinho, Nunez, even Bobby's great in the year. We knew there's always a chance if we can get the delivery spot on, and it was immaculate delivery again.
Yeah, it really wasn't. Like that's been one of my criticisms of this season is actually some of the deliveries have been quite poor from people they really should be poor from. Trent from a dead ball situation should be putting it on the money every time.
Yeah, I know you mentioned Trent, and we could easily have another session on Trent, but shall we? I don't want to. But so yeah,
no, just in terms of the corners.
No, but you're right.
You're right. Yeah. Robertson the same, always hits the front post, but Simi put in worldies of the ball. And just before we scored the first goal, actually, he put a brilliant ball in the box, and Ibu just bullied somebody. I don't know who it was. He leaped up. I don't think he won the ball, but he just bodied the defender off, and the defender ended up on the floor. And I was like, yes, that's exactly the aggression I need to see.
Love it, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's been one of my other criticisms of Virgil this year is I'm like, not just his defensively, but in the other box, he's not aggressive enough for me. He's the biggest man in the box quite often, the strongest, the best header of the ball in that box. And he just kind of waits for the ball to land on his head as opposed to going attacking things, knock someone over. So that's what Konate does a lot of. But you're dead right. We have people in the box that are really good headers of the ball from set plays. And in recent weeks, the guy that's shown it and the guy that got the header was Nunez. He's obviously scored his goal from the corner the other week, but he is that guy that is aggressive, and he's like, no, this is going on my head. I don't care where the ball's being put. I'm getting to it. And he leaped. He got his head on it. He headed it down, which is always brilliant. Instead of skying it over the ball, make sure you get over the ball. Headed it down. Keeper got down low. Not sure if you could say he done well to get down low. He did his job, but it's difficult in that situation to defend. And then Sally's Johnny on the spot, isn't he? That's what he does. Just cleans up them situations and gets it in when he needs to. So I was really, really pleased. I mean, I was comfortable with the game knowing that, we didn't really need to score. It was just a dead rubber. But having scored, I was like, yeah, it's the icing on the cake for what's been a really good performance. And then you have to remind me, guys, did the subs come on prior to the second goal?
Yes.
They came on just after. They came on literally as the goal was scored.
Right, okay.
The kids came on.
Oh, you mean the batch? There was a couple of batches of subs.
I think the only one that was made before was Elliott or for Milner.
Yeah, because Milner picked up an injury, didn't he? Straight after half time. So Elliott comes on. I'm just basically going through a bit of a Klopp quotes. He says, "We are Liverpool, a top team. Nobody has forgotten what we did last year, but now it isn't important. Tonight we showed everything. We showed pieces of really good football, defensive stuff, a really high level. Napoli are a real force, but the boys played a really good game." He goes on to speak about, in terms of the formation, it's the system we play most often, and it's familiar to us, and we've discussed that as well. We had to change a couple of things, but it's always on the table. We know that it's our go-to. I think, Cav, you've mentioned it's our go-to formation. Mm-hmm. Darwin came on. Offensively, it's not a problem. There's no difference to the diamond. We figure out what's best. Look, formation-wise and going forward-wise, in terms of what do we do, I literally think it depends on personnel, guys. What do you think? It's all about personnel with us, right?
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah. Go on, Omar. Sorry.
Yeah. It's about your like we were saying before we went to the 4-4-2. Like it made sense for us to go to that at the time because we had such an overload of attacking players. This is when Joshua and Diaz were fit, and we had so many midfield injuries. It made sense to go to that. I'd love us to be able to be competent enough to be flexible between the two, so that we could have two systems to go to. Because like Ancelotti picked up on us last year, he said, you know how Liverpool are going to play, you know how they're going to set up. So it can be quite predictable to sort of play us. It's a fine margin. It's like you want an identity, but you also want that sort of mysteriousness about you for you to be flexible enough to change depending on the team you play for. And now,
do you know what it is? Do you know what it is, Holmes? Do you know what it is? I think it's more important to have that whilst you haven't got a full rota of players, like your full ammunition. In terms of, we know we've got loads of important players still missing, and until then, because if you're gonna be predictable with inferior, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but you know what I mean when I say inferior, like you're not your number one choice in your position. If you're going to be predictable and slower and older and not your grade A players in each position, then you're going to struggle, right? Like we have, and so therefore we've changed it up to make it more interesting, or more, as you said, keep the opposition second guessing. Like, I'm not sure if Napoli were ready for that, guys. I'm not sure if they thought we're going to go back to 4-3-3. Maybe that was a masterstroke from Klopp.
You know what I really like? It's what you really notice about Man City, because Man City are so good at playing each game in different sort of systems and like different sort of ways to sort of expose a team's weakness. Sometimes they'll set up with 3 people at the back. Sometimes they'll set up with an extra person in midfield. Sometimes they'll play 2-3 and like have their fullbacks completely wide. They have that sort of tactical flexibility. And I think that also comes from the fact that they have Guardiola, who's arguably one of the best tacticians of all time, whatever. And so it's not. I'm not asking for us to be like that, to be able to switch every game. But it's like you say, adapt to the players we have, and sometimes adapt to the teams we come up against. Like, was going 4-4-2 against Nottingham Forest wise, like was playing the system we played against Leeds wise, maybe we should have used the width a bit more than we did. So
I'm convinced we win both games if we play 4-3-3, lads. And this is not hindsight. This is not being a wise guy, because I fucking said it before. And I think maybe all of us have said it. So it is a bit frustrating.
Yeah, go on, Kall.
I think what we've got to recognise is, I totally agree with you on the formation, but what today's game offered was a real fight. We were up against a team that were willing to fight, move the ball quickly, play at a high tempo, created spaces, attacked us. And it did 2 things. It gave us space to play, but it actually switched the players on. The players knew they were playing a team that could easily embarrass them at their own ground. So they had to go into that game ready for the fight. It was the mentality. Whereas when you're rocking up against the Leeds and a Forest, these players have just been rocking up thinking, we'll just get through this because we're big, bad Liverpool. And I think that's been part of the issue. So it's really difficult to assess and say what formation would have been right and what personnel's right, because I think it's all been down to the mindset. If Liverpool take the fighting attitude they had today into them games against Forest and Leeds, it doesn't matter what formation they played, they would have won, because they have the quality. They just didn't have the desire. But I do agree with Omar that we perhaps want to be more tactically flexible depending on the game we're playing. So we should always have a system that's our Liverpool way. You know, if we don't know the opposition, which is very rare, or we just want to impose ourselves on the opposition, then we have a set formation, whether it be 4-3-3 or 4-3-2-1. But if the team we're coming up against is particularly weak in an area, then yes, we should look to be a bit wider. We should maybe look to get an extra forward on. Maybe we'll never go to 3 at the back, but we maybe have Fabinho drop in and then really push the fullbacks on. So if we need that flexibility, because quite simply, rocking up every single week against every single team playing 4-3-3 and the same patterns of playing the same style, it will be found out, and it will make it difficult to break teams down.
You know what? Sorry, Gav. You know what that also does? if teams know how we're going to play, not only does it make it harder for us to break them down, they also know where our weak spots are. And we know teams target that channel because Trent is normally so high, and like teams do that. Like, how many times have you seen like a winger who's just an absolute take on merchant, just sit in that pocket and just wait for the ball to come to them? Because so like it sort of works both ways.
Yeah.
Look, it's Salah's goal. He equals who does he equal? Steven Gerrard's record now for something, isn't it? What is it?
European goals.
Yeah, so this is what he says afterwards. It could have gone to either Salah or Darwin, whose initial header looked to have crossed the line as Meret attempted to say, but has been officially awarded to the number 11. That brings him level with Gerrard as the club's all-time. This guy is a beast, isn't he? With 41 goals in the Champions League, guys. This is mad. But yeah, look, what has he said? He said the victory, well, it's not my job, it's the gaffer's job. He joked. Yeah, he joked, hopefully. Any position that makes me more comfortable, I'm happy about it. But I've played in the position for 5-6 years. I have to say, yes, that position is best for me. Okay. But I'm not the manager. The manager decides the tactics. And as a player, you have to follow the leader. Interesting, guys. He goes on to say, throughout his interview, Salah stressed the importance of the result, with focus turning to the Premier League. To win against one of the best teams in the world, one of the best coaches in the world, it's always a good feeling. That means he's got a lot of respect for Spalletti because he played in Italy as well, didn't he? But we just need to carry on. It's a good result for us. Hopefully, it'll give us more confidence. We just need to focus now in the cup and carry on. Interesting, guys. Will that be picked on by the mainstream media? What do you think about that? Salah saying, at the end of the day, whatever Klopp says, but hinting there that he prefers the position that he's been playing for 5-6 years.
It might be picked up on, but if we know Salah. He sort of, in his interviews, he's quite unfiltered. He wears his heart on his sleeve, so to me, it's not really a problem. I think Salah, which I like, is quite refreshing. He's quite open in interviews, and he just sort of wears his heart on his sleeve so if he says something, he means it. But I think he has good intentions, and I think we've seen that Salah has good intention in what he says. Also, I think Spalletti was his manager at Roma.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask that. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to waffle, but you've took the limelight.
Nice. Right.
I think the thing is there, Salah, he's speaking quite methodically. Like, he's saying, I've played there for the 5 or 6 years, and that's where I've got my goals and played well. So it would make sense. He's not saying that's his preferred position as such, but I personally still think it is. But Salah has also played games out on the right side in his preferred position where he's being doubled up on, and he's so wide, he doesn't affect the games. So we can't just simply now go, he's a right winger, that's where he wants to play, that's where we should play him, because actually it hasn't been working. It has been. He's had an incredible career, but there's been games where that position hasn't worked for him.
But this is it. But this continues with what we're trying to say. It keeps the unpredictability. Sometimes he can play through the middle. Because I've said it. I don't want Salah playing there through the middle on his own. That would be fucking like he was against Forest. Basically, that was awful. I want Salah with Nunez causing chaos together. And we would only do that when we got Jota and Diaz, because Diaz can play on the right wing. That's the beauty of Luis Diaz. I know people are saying they're so used to, and Jota can play on the left, and then the movement and fluidity will be ridiculous. But we can only do that once we've got two strong, robust, fit, in the right age central midfielders to box that area off that we've spoken about, And once we get that, I think I see the vision and the plan. We're going to have to be patient, and we're going to have to wait for those legs to come in, basically, right? Because we can't do that without legs. We found that against Arsenal.
Yeah. And the press is key as well, because all the play we're doing at the minute is from defence to fullbacks to forwards, and it's so structured and often quite slow that where the players are in position is really set. So if Salah's place in the pitch is out on the right, he's always there. Whereas if we get, like you said, energetic fighting midfielders back and we push up the pitch and we press, because we're turning the ball over quicker and higher up the pitch, you tend to find that the forwards are also pressing, so they naturally interchange. That's where the chaos is created, and that's not what's happening at the minute. But hopefully we can get back to that. So yes, maybe you have Diaz on the left, Salah on the right, Nunez up top, whoever it may be. But if we're pressing, we're attacking, it's relentless, they will naturally interchange and rotate, and that's where it's defenders struggle to pick them up. I really hope we get to that stage again.
Talking of all of this and sort of strikers and everything else, the King of Chaos, as someone in the chat, I'm so sorry. Someone named him King of Chaos in the chat. I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. King of Chaos comes on and does exactly that. What a cameo again. Drifting past people on the left, being a physical presence in the box. And Virgil van Dijk wins. So Nunez wins the first header. There's a bit of misunderstanding. Nunez wins the first header for Salah's goal. And then Virgil wins the second header for Nunez's goal. But it's another goal for Nunez, Omar. Another goal for Nunez. He could have got a brilliant assist. He was like a whisker away from making a brilliant assist for Salah. This guy is just... He's a new cult hero. At the moment, he's a cult hero already. Yeah. I think it's fair to say he's already a cult hero. We hope he turns into a legend.
Yeah, but you could see that sort of, he has everything you need to get behind a player. He's electric. He's passionate. He has a bit of aggression and bite. I mean, he was over aggressive maybe again today a bit in the box, but. Like 7 goals, 1 assist. I just saw a stat from the.
What do you think of this one? Nunez is the modern day Ronnie Rosenthal, one with the kids.
Is that because he missed an open goal? Like
Ronnie? Shit, that's quite a shout.
But yeah, Mick put out a tweet that I just saw, which was Nunez has 7 goals and 1 assist in equivalent of 8.3 games, which is not bad for a flop. Like. I don't care. Like, my flop is currently on target to score well over 20 goals this season. So if he's a flop, by all means, call him a flop. But yeah, for me, Nunez, he was the king of chaos. But also, sometimes we get frustrated. Nunez makes a wrong decision, and he's a bit indecisive, and it is frustrating. But today, he made the right decision. There was that one time where he sort of went down the line, whipped in a menacing cross. Salah was this close to getting a second, and then just on his toes for the goal. And I just want to speak on the goal because I know it was ruled out for offside. I was so pissed off at Steve McManaman today because McManaman literally went straight away. He was like, "Oh, that's offside." I was like, "You're literally looking from a diagonal view." And how many times, like, VAR's not been around for a day. It's been around for 4 to 5. It was introduced at the last World Cup. You should know by now, and this is me having a go at every pundit, whatever. You should know by now never to look at a goal decision, an offside decision, and claim it offside or onside when you're looking at the diagonal. Because if you look at something from a diagonal, the sort of positioning of the player is going to look different to what it looks like when they're square on. And then McManaman was like, "Oh, well offside." As soon as he got a view down the line, he was like, "Oh, that's well onside." Man, you should know this. So that's my little dig at the mainstream media because these guys are lazy in their punditry. But yeah, other than that, on his toes, striker's instincts, goal, can't complain. 2-0.
Guys, before we continue to speak about the couple of youngsters that come on and Nunez's goal, there's still over 420 of you in here. Smash that likes button. Let's get to 300. We're a few short of 300 likes, which would be at a brilliant ratio. And we'd be well chuffed. Yeah, Nunez, fantastic. We'll only get better. I was surprised he was left out because I thought he's one of those that just needs rhythm, but it makes sense. Because of the slight hamstring strain, but you could tell every time he comes on, he's willing. He's a willing runner. There's no drop in effort, intensity, and attitude. Mm-hmm. He's got it all in an abundance, and that's so key when you're a substitute.
Yeah, I absolutely love him. And like, you're absolutely right. Them 3 things there, attitude, desire, and work rate, all things that Klopp would have identified when scouting him and been really excited about. you know. And if you think of Klopp and the forwards he's produced in the patch, you know, Lewandowski, Aubameyang, this guy knows how to create superstars and especially forwards. And he would have seen these attributes in him and gone, yeah, I can definitely
want
work
some
with
of
that.
them.
Yeah. And since he's come to Liverpool, he's had a bit of criticism. He's had really ridiculous sort of, not hate, but just, you know, negativity around him. All the guy's done is come in, work hard, scored goals, got assists, and create chaos. And if you think about today's game, it ends 0-0 unless Nunez is on the pitch. He wins the header to get Salah's goal, and he scores the goal.
Simple.
Without him, it's a 0-0. It's
Chris is a non-Liverpool fan. He says, I think people that have been saying Nunez is a flop already are clueless, and I'm not a Liverpool fan. But I thought when Liverpool signed Nunez, it was one of the best moves in Europe. Devastating player, and that's Chris. I believe he's an Inter fan. How can you? But I don't know. What are you basing him on as a flop?
It's
training. Was it really the training ground videos on his first?
Do you know what it is? He people, him and it's Haaland. Everyone see him and Haaland come into the two most informed teams in England, and they immediately compare him to Haaland. So once Haaland hits the ground running, it's like whatever. And then Nunez started the season slow because he got a red card and didn't play for 3 games. So if you think about it, he scored in his first 2 games, Community Shield. Then he came off the bench against Fulham, scores in that game. First home game, creates a lot of chaos again, misses a couple chances, but then gets sent off. Right, he's out for 3 games. Whatever. Comes back. He now has 7 goals in the equivalent of just over 8 games. Any forward with that ratio would be happy. But then again, it's the comparison. It's the stuff like social media where people just expect him to hit the levels of someone else's age who's clearly a freak, right? Made in a lab, whatever you want to say about Haaland, and compare him to those levels. I don't care. Don't compare him. He's our player. Let him do what he does for us. One is playing on the left, Haaland's playing in the middle and getting 10 times the service, right? Mm-hmm. I'm fine with that. Whatever. Let the guy just focus on what he's doing at Liverpool, and I think he's doing that. I think he's blocking out everything from the side, and he's being effective. He scored crucial goals for us. So, yeah, I'm more than happy with Nunez, and look, let him just develop at his own pace. If he keeps scoring goals, which I feel he will become a prolific striker for us. He will become a prolific scorer for us. But let him do it.
He's already a prolific scorer. He's just not a polished player. There's a difference.
That's it. That's the key. The first few games he played, he was sort of balls were being played into him and it was bouncing off his chest. He was trying to control things on the turn. His orientation of his body was wrong. He was playing blind passes. He was giving the ball away, but he was always scoring goals. And then he gets the red card. And that's what people have built the agenda on, is that they think this guy looks not even like a footballer. Looks like he's got, wellies on, not football boots, and then agenda's been built. But if you actually watch him in the past few games, Leeds I'd put aside because he wasn't particularly good in that. But if you watch him actually in his past few games for Liverpool, he's improved on all of them things. His control's a lot better. He's nodding it down to people and linking up play. He's now passing to his teammates and not the opposition. He's making more intelligent runs. Yeah. And he's improving. And it's still so early in his career. But the main thing is as a centre forward in a team that's been playing so poorly, he creates all his own chances, and the very few he does get, he's tucking them away. I don't get what more you want from this guy.
Guys, there's about over 400 of you, about 420 of you guys. First and foremost, like the stream, but I don't want to embarrass Omar. In fact, it could be taken as a praise. But can everyone focus in on Omar and imagine Omar with the same hairstyle as Nunez? Is it me, or is there an absolute similarity there? I've just clocked it. Can someone tell me I'm wrong? I'm crazy. You look like Darwin Nunez. I've just seen it. Guys, am I wrong? Imagine,
say yes.
Put the hair on. It's true, isn't it? Are you saying exactly? Like, are
Do
you
you
saying
reckon,
exactly to this?
Omar, you reckon you could get your hair in a bobble? Is that
I
is
could
it
grow
long
it
enough?
out. I could grow out for you, Grizz, if
If
you
he
want.
There you
grows
go.
it out,
I'll
I'm
grow it out for
telling
you.
you, there is Darwin Nunez. Oh, come on, Assad, play the game. I'm not wrong. I'm telling you, man, there is something so much Darwizzy about Omar. But we get back to the chat. A couple of super chats because there's a troll. The Liverpool troll has entered the building and he's caused a bit of a stir. My man Zuberi is in the building. Of course, he's not happy. We've won today, as usual. Not happy, but a win is a win. Jones and Milner need to take a vacation on a one-way trip. VVD reaction is slow motion at best, but you'll never walk alone. People, if you don't know Zuberi, get to know Zuberi. Zuberi is about to become a very prominent, active member on this channel. He will have far more appearances than more than you can believe. So get used to his trolling. He's trolling there. But we'll ask him. Shane McGee says, game seemed chaotic from what I watched. Need Nunez and Salah up top to counter from now on. Let the chaos begin until we get more signings. Shane, I didn't think it was chaotic at all today. I didn't think it was chaotic, Shane. Maybe the end was a bit chaotic when we like the subs and they were pushing on, but I thought it was far more structured and controlled. Dinesh says, Grizz, I think the Winter World Cup break comes at the right time for Liverpool. We will have most of our players back from injury. Absolutely, 100%. We've been screaming out for that. What's this one about, Cav? Big up, Cav. Ash says, you got to get Grizz and Omar
He's
on
been
the
hiding
next
this from us.
After Dark episode. Hello. That sounds a bit, hello.
Exactly.
Love to hear Grizz on some of those mad debates. Mbappe's girlfriend.
Oh, get me on.
Yeah, I think that's more.
Me, not you, Grizz.
I was gonna just say, I think this is more.
We talk about things around football and media and film and stuff, and there's some interesting conversations.
Get me on. I'm all for it. Mingling.
Yeah, a bit of After Dark episodes.
Film and media. I just love it.
Yeah, I think Omar's the one for After Dark episodes. I'm gonna just sit back on this one and say,
family man,
community man, leave me alone about these ones, man.
We've not done it. We've not done it for a long while, actually.
All right, fair enough. Final word on the substitutions: Calvin Ramsey, little cameo; Fabio Carvalho, little cameo. Cav, what did you make of them?
I thought they were fabulous. I mean, I'll be honest. When they come on, I kind of thought, okay, we're ahead in the game. It's the final few minutes. I think they come on the 87th minute. Final few minutes, we might be put under the cosh here, but that's fine. We're probably going to win the game. It's just about the experience for them, this and that. Nah, none of the sorts. They come on, and to a man, they
took the game to them.
They held their own, and the best bit of passing and movement we did was on that right hand side. The link up between Carvalho, Ramsey and Salah, it was intricate, it was pacey, it was as if they'd played together for years. It was fantastic to see. And they all shown confidence. And that's what I want to see in a youngster. Assurance on the ball. You know, it's okay, there's not a lot on the line because you're 2-0 up, but it's still Napoli. It's still intense. They're still putting pressure on you. They're still tackling. They want to get back in the game. You've got the Anfield crowd that was then up for it because there'd been challenges and the game had needle in it. And they just stepped on the pitch and they held their own. I mean, Ramsey, it's the first time I've really seen him, and he weren't on for long, but this kid received the ball. He did a little Cruyff turn at one point, running back towards his goal, not running, but facing his own goal. Cruyff turned it and played it back down the ring. I thought, wow, what confidence for the young lad. You know, he looks as though his boots are about 10 sizes too big for him, but he's still, yeah, they look strange. But fabulous. Carvalho again. Come on, composed on the ball, quite good. But that I'm gonna ruin his name, but Bajcetic. Yeah, this kid, he was putting in challenges, and then when he received the ball, so calm on it, so composed for a young lad playing as a 6. It's they look like stars in the making. I'll be honest. It's only a few minutes. I don't really want to get too carried away, but just take into the account the occasion and the debut for Ramsey and stuff. I thought they were brilliant. I was so happy. Made up for them.
Holmes, what was you going to say?
No, I agree. I even tweeted it. As soon as youngsters come on, we played our best football all game. Like, we looked liquid. We kept that ball. We were composed. We weren't worried about their press. We were in and out. They were like Cav said, aggressive. It was fun to see. It was actually fun. Ramsey, he was aware at the back post. Bajetic, Carvalho, Elliott started pinging the ball around. It was just fun to see this sort of next generation that had energy. Because we've been criticised for not having energy, and you've got all these guys waiting in the wings with this bundle of energy.
Spot on.
I'm now excited for Derby County next week. I'm now excited for that game.
I am so gassed. Oh, you know what? I'm so excited because they're all going to be thrown in. I can't wait now.
Yeah,
it's something to look forward to. I'm looking forward to that. Like Simicast, that back four that other subscriber, follower, friend said with a super chat. I can't remember who it was. That back four: Bajetic, Curtis Jones, Elliott in midfield, and then Carvalho. I don't know. Maybe one of the youngsters gets a game from the under-23. Maybe a Ben Doak substitute appearance as well. Because lads, remember the name Ben fucking Doak. He is special. Special. Actually, I don't think fucking's on his passport. But Ben Doak. Just remember Ben Doak. 17-year-old or 16?
16, I think.
16-year-old. He's so good. He's so good. He literally scores or assists every time he plays. Mental.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I mean, I don't watch a lot of the underage groups, I'll be honest, but you can't avoid seeing this guy's name. You know, I go onto Twitter almost, a few times a day, and this kid's always scoring. He's always assisting. And then I watch the highlights, and he's picking up the ball in midfield, dribbling past people, tucking the ball away. Yeah, exciting prospect.
Put Darwin up top in that. I promise you, he'll bag so many goals. Darwin and the kids. Darwin taking the kids out for a little play against Derby. Yeah.
Bafana is asking where's Cade Gordon. Cade Gordon has an issue that is very frustrating for the kid. I was so excited because Cade Gordon I haven't slept on and I haven't forgotten about, and people shouldn't, because he's going to be fine. But it's just a bit of an issue he's got that will keep him out for far longer than most expected. Probably the majority of the rest of the season as well. Yeah, they're saying it's a growth-related issue, very similar to what Steven Gerrard used to have as well. And they just want to be careful and make sure everything's fine. But he's a wonderful talent as well. Cade Gordon. Kane Doherty. Hope I've said it right, because there's a few syllables in his name. But Kane Doherty. Say again? Trent Kane Doherty. Yeah, he's a special. We've got a few. There's a left-footed gem.
Chambers in midfield.
No, Cornes. I can't remember his first name. What a wonderful left foot. So cultured for a young kid. And he's just nothing like I've seen amongst the youngsters. He's one of those guys where he's got so much time on the ball. Dominic Cornes, that's the one. Dominic Cornes, guys, remember these names that I've told you guys. Dominic Cornes, Kane Doherty, Ben Doak. Because the seniors have been pissing me off this season, I've been watching a lot of the under-21s. Like, literally, they've been pissing me off. So I've been watching a lot of the under-21s and seeing, look, well, when the fuck can we replace these guys ASAP? And some of them have really improved and shown me things. Ramsey I loved. Guys, I'm so excited about Ramsey. I just want him to have a season of adaptation for the rest of the season, like in terms of same growth issue as Messi. Got it. Brilliant.
The AXA is producing generational talents. We're sweet.
I tell you.
Get the seniors out now.
Exactly. I'm excited about Ramsey, guys. I can't hide my excitement about this kid as well. From all reports, I started chatting to the academy that he was training since he was as a kid. I'm so sorry, guys, from that academy in Aberdeen. I forgot your company name. I want to give them a shout out, but I got to know them because they sent me a video of him in my DMs training with them over the preseason, and they sort of gave me a bit of insight into what was happening and whatnot. Hence why called the Calvin Ramsey deal very early on before it happened. I knew he was our player. As soon as I knew he was going to be our player, I started watching more and more of him. This guy is so good. I mean, the profile of fullback, or the modern day profile of a fullback is Calvin Ramsey. Like you can see he's 5'10", 11 already, right? And such composure. I think who mentioned the cry of turn he done or whatever. You can see he can pick out a pass, his vision, his calmness. I'm so excited about this guy, lads. And I'm no way saying Trent replacement or anything like that, but it's so good to know and positive to know that we've got finally a same profile of Trent to step in, because that's one thing that's frustrated us, hasn't it? When we take out Trent, we haven't got that profile of Trent. It's either a Gomez or a Milner.
Yeah, the thing is, you've been speaking about Ramsey, in fairness to you, for a while, Grizz, and I've not seen a lot of him, but I mean, even just his small cameo today, you just see it, don't you? Sometimes
he scored 2 goals in his. Do you know he scored twice already in 2 appearances for the under-21s?
And I've seen his last one.
That's quite mad, That's quite mad
for a fullback as well. Yeah, and his goal kind of sums him up. He just passes it into the net. He just seems like he's so calm, and and to come on and show that calmness again in today's game, it's like, yeah, that's going to put you in such good stead to be a top footballer.
This is true. He was so switched on. And the exact thing that we've been accusing our defenders of not being. Like, there was a couple of similar situations in the end of that Napoli game where it was a similar situation to the Leeds game. But what was the difference? They were switched on this time. It could have easily developed into that Leeds goal. Do you remember, guys, near the end, like Napoli had a bit of pressure in that left-hand side, their left, our right. But they were so switched on. Great point, as usual, from Pixelate Pigeon. I think we're going to wrap it up there, guys, unless there's something else that you guys want to speak about. Zuberi's trolling now. Is Ramsey ready for Son at Spurs? No, Zuberi, you naughty.
Son's injured. Son got concussed today.
Yeah, so Son got concussed, but I don't know what the rules are. Did he actually go off for concussion?
I mean,
because
he was. I'm pretty sure he did. So I think he has to be
10
out
days.
It's
10 days. I think
10 days. Yeah.
But Champions League, Premier League, any difference in rules?
Well, I think it carries over. I think it does carry over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
I think it does carry over. I don't think.
You can't treat it like a red card, domestic red card.
No, I'm just saying the rules. No, I'm just saying the rules might be different. No?
Yeah.
He'll for part of his medical clearance for the Premier League game that it will be noted on there. So unless they can prove he's fine, but if he's had concussion, then yeah, he won't be able.
I don't think they can prove it as long as it was concussion. Then it's not about proving that 6 days. Apparently, someone's saying 6 days minimum. I read that else as well somewhere that it's 6 days.
It should be a week-ish. I remember, I think it was Salah got concussed in a game, and I think it was a Champions League or Premier League game. And he missed like a Premier League or he missed the other competition a few days later. So I think it does sort of apply in both senses, but. Yeah, I think Tottenham would probably be the doctors would probably overrule on that one anyway and say, right, you don't want to put this guy's life in danger like for a game.
I mean, they've been crap anyway. So
yeah, they have, but then we haven't been much better in the league as well.
No, Son. I mean, Spurs have been they're getting results, but Son himself, yeah. I mean, Millie got a bit of a knock as well. I mean, that was a strange thing. I'll just quickly talk about. He got a knock in the first half. And
head injury, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the only thing that sort of gave it away was that I think one of the coaches, when it panned to the touchline, one of them sort of tapped his head. So I thought, oh, maybe it's head injury. He goes in, plays the remainder of the half, comes out, and within a minute sits on the floor and says he's not right, which is, really a bit concerning. I'm sure he'll be fine. He walked off the pitch. It won't be an issue. But really, I'm not sure why we're taking risks with players and head injuries. If he's got
can someone confirm though? I thought it was a bit of a strain he got.
So that's what my thought was, because
it wasn't related to the head injury.
So,
right. Okay.
Elliot,
I don't know.
Can someone confirm up like Elliot was ready to go on. Like, they knew there was something wrong with Milner. It just depends if it was.
Oh no, it was. Yeah. You're saying.
It was swollen. So I think I might.
But then Tav's got a very good point. Then I didn't know that. I thought it was a little bit of a pull or strain he got that he knew it was gone.
Do you know what Do you know what it is? Sometimes when you're playing, like you've got all the lights around you, like you're on a bit of a adrenaline rush. You go back into the change room, you have a bit of a dump, and then you come out into the lights again. And he probably was like, "Yeah."
Did you say you have a bit of a dump?
You have like an adrenaline dump. It's actually a saying.
All right, I'm just confirming that that's actually what you said. Like
oh, you probably
terminology, like
time. Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. Just making it clear. You know what I mean? I don't want to, put words into your mouth. But yeah, people, that has been post-match carnage. We had a win to talk about. It's gonna be the rest of the season. It's gonna fluctuate. Emotions are gonna fluctuate. We're gonna come on like fucking zombies sometimes, and like a graveyard, and sometimes we're gonna come on happy because we like to enjoy it. Look, one thing that you're gonna get on this channel is real reactions. We're not going to try to forecast too much into the future, or look, we're just going to enjoy the moment, and we're going to speak on what we see. And today what we saw was encouraging. We saw Liverpool get back to winning ways. We saw Liverpool beat Napoli 2-0. No singing tonight. No, nothing to sing about, nothing to sing and dance about. We're just no, it's not though, because we're already qualified. If we won the group, then yes, I would have done a rendition of anything that you wanted me to, right? But we didn't. Thank fuck. All right? So we didn't. Hey?
You know what I mean?
Which one? Say it.
It was just you won't know the song, you anecdote.
Now say it. Which song? I might know. You don't. I surprised
have you heard the song Anaconda by Nicki Minaj?
Of course I have.
How does it go?
This guy.
Wait. Yeah. My anaconda, something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, I'm not far off.
I mean, you got the word. You got the word right, I guess.
But the tone. You got the tone right. You know where I'm going with that.
You're there.
Yeah, I could have said anaconda in any tone, but it's like it's quite aggressive, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Now stop allowing the clipping. I got clipped up overnight, man. Leave it. Leave the clipping up. Last night was last night, people. But listen, before Om starts getting me onto fucking all sorts of stuff on there, and Cav starts getting an idea about After Dark episodes and shit, Anaconda chat, and all this Anaconda chat, I might start segueing into fucking, me and segues, but we'll segue into closing the show tonight. We will be back tomorrow, Ohms. We have Young Bucks at 7 p.m. No, not tomorrow. Thursday, I beg your pardon.
Thursday.
What's tomorrow?
Wednesday.
Eurostars is tomorrow, people. Make sure you're tuned in. Check out Eurostars tomorrow. Will be after the final whistle in the Champions League games, where we'll have an assessment and the perfect idea of who's playing who. Not who's playing who, but who can play who. That'll be at 10 p.m. Thursday, we got Young Bucks and a special preview for the Spurs game. I've got a couple of brilliant Spurs fans on, and we'll take it from there for the rest of the week. It's goodbye from us lot. And we hope to see you very soon. Take care. Peace out. Up the Reds.